Good morning. How is everyone out there doing? I am here with the amazing Summer Deves. She is the author of Call of the Sheep, and she is calling in from Australia, where it is her evening. It is my morning, and I'm very, very excited. Welcome to 24 Authors in 12 Hours. Welcome, Summer.
Thank you so much for having me. And I'm from a place called Wagga Wagga. So just in case you want to know where exactly it was in Australia,
Wagga Wagga.
Wagga
I just
Wagga.
like saying that. There's a place near here called Mishawaka, and I was like, let's go to Mishawaka just because I want to say Mishawaka, like Wagga Wagga. Like I totally want to go to Australia and just be like,
Yeah,
let's go to
it's
Wagga
just fun
Wagga.
to say.
Yes, it is. And speaking of fun, writing books, it's a journey, right? There's times when you love it, there's times when you hate it, there's times when you're like, I'm never going to finish this book. What inspired you in writing your book? And before I go further, it's a series, right? There's 4 or 5 books.
It is a duet, but there will be a prequel and there will be one based 150 years later. So they're interconnected. Yes, so there will be four
Interconnected.
interconnected.
I love that. I actually, when I renamed my book brand, I called it the Universe, and I figured like you can connect so many things because I love when people build in that world, and I'm always sad like when I'm really into a book, and then the world book ends, and I'm like, no, like there has to be more. And then when an author does
Yeah.
that, like they do that prequel or something, I am one of those readers who is like signed up on all the pages. And speaking of pages, let me go ahead and I'm going to share how to contact you on Instagram. I'm going to put that into the comments for all of our viewers. And here you go. This is how you can contact Summer on Instagram. So let's talk a little bit. What inspired you behind the scenes for writing in this universe that you created?
So it's a bit of a journey. It started on the 28th of August last year. So on the 28th of August, my daughter almost died and she was taken into hospital with type 1 diabetes. So it was a really big uproot of just our family life and life in general. And so when that happened, I had to step back from my business. I've run a business for 17 years and I had to step back to go give her insulin every day and to care for her and be there at her dance competitions because she's a little dancer. And I was just going crazy, stir crazy, because I'm such a creative person and I love marketing and I love being creative and I just love just using that part of your brain. And I was getting really bored. I'm having to sit at her dance classes for 3 hours. I only have an hour in between her insulin injections before going and picking up the kids from school. And I was just reading a lot of the time. And then I sat there one day. I'm one of those people that drives in silence, those psychopaths that don't listen to music. And I just thought back about when I was younger and I used to love to write. So when I was 15, I wrote a lot of stories. And then I was like, I wonder if I could actually rewrite them, adulty, a little bit more steamier. And so the concept came about, and I was like, you know what? I reckon I could do this. I could merge two stories that I wrote when I was 15. And so in January, the writing journey began just after a visit to America. So I went to America on a Disneyland cruise with my daughter, and I spent that entire time writing notes and trying to figure out what to do because I had no idea. I didn't even have a BookTok account at this stage. Um, and I got home from America and I was like, okay, I started writing and bam. So, yeah, that is the journey of how Call of the She was born.
Well, I do
That's
not have a
the
book talk
beginning.
account, but I'm going to put your account into our comments so that our readers can see those and follow you on TikTok. And it is such an amazing journey for an author. And I know for me, the first book I had, like it was so like inspiring. And you get the book in the mail for the first time and you open it and you're like, I wrote like this is actually like my words on here, right? Like it's pretty incredible the journey.
It was really incredible. I actually messed up publishing my book. I launched the soft cover early. I thought you could line it up with your Kindle and have it as a pre-release. And so I had a message from a BookTok friend, and she was like, "Hey, girl, just bought your book." And I was like, "What do you mean you just bought my book? It's not for sale." And she was like, no, it's for sale. And I was like, oh, goodness me. So I had people see my book before I had even seen it.
Oh
Oops.
my gosh. That is always super interesting. Trying to launch the book, especially I publish both on Ingram Spark and on Kindle and, a few other platforms, and even synchronizing them is like impossible. And I'm sure that trying to coordinate it in a global release. I mean, you're here in the United States, you're there in Australia, you have books all over the world. So let's talk a little bit about challenges in the book. I mean, first of all, the fact that you were doing this with your daughter sick and that you switched your business and you pivoted. I mean, you have all those things. So were there additional challenges or things that you think as an author that either helped you or maybe just kind of made you rethink things?
I think my biggest challenge is I suck with grammar and I suck at spelling. And so when I would write, I would just brain dump everything down and then I'd have to go back and edit it. Like to this day, I still don't know how to use a comma correctly. Like I'm glad there's such things as editors. So my brain just works so fast that it can't just decipher those small things. It just kind of just goes bleh. And I'm really creative, but it's the in between nitty gritty that I really suck at. But I suppose the more I wrote, the better I did get. Like my editor was like, "Oh, not as many spelling mistakes now," and I'm like, "No, I'm learning. I know how to use right then and then, or while and while." Just true. I've just never had that as a strong point. Like I love to write, love to be creative, but when it comes to the nitty gritty, no.
Well, and that's really editing, right? And I think that a lot of
Exactly.
writers, what they realize on the journey, and I hear so many writers say, it's not the writing, it's the editing, the rewrites. Uh, while we're on editing, let's touch on this a bit. Did you have any beta readers or early readers or people give you advice and then have to change anything significant or lose something that like you were really sort of like, oh, but this is just so integral to my story?
So when I went into writing the book, I didn't really understand what ARC readers were or beta readers. And then after being on Book Talk for a while on Instagram, I kind of realized that there were these groups of people that had early access to what you were doing. And so my editing process was about 22 times going through the entire book, including audio. I downloaded an app and I actually listened to it several times to make sure it flowed. And so I sent it to some beta readers, and I actually had one turn around and say that she couldn't read it because she felt it needed more editing and that I used too many verbs and I didn't end my sentences completely. And so at first I was like, oh, like, okay, because I'd never had that happen before. But then I turned around and I was like, you know what? Thank you. Because I need that to be able to grow. And so I gave that advice back to my editors and I kind of went in and I dived in. And you probably didn't see me for about a week while I went through it again, and realized like she was maybe correct with the not ending sentences correctly, but I'm a big verb user. So I wasn't going to take away that magic that I decided was my style. So I think that is part of writing, is finding out your style too and what makes you you, and not conforming to just what everyone else does, like just finding your niche and how your magic, I suppose.
No, Summer, I think that point, and for anybody, reader, authors, whatever, out there listening, now or in the future, is one of the things that is critical as a writer is you're not going to be everyone's cup of tea, and that can hurt a bit. But also the fact that you own that, you're like, I love verbs. This is what I want to use. This is my writing style. I've had people come back on my writing and tell me they don't like things, and I'm like, okay, this is probably not the book you want to read then. And I was like, if you don't like this on the back cover, you will not like the entire book. Like, you should put this book away, right? Let's talk a little bit more about what did you wish you would have known about becoming a published author as you went through this journey. And you've kind of discussed this about like you started listening to these different groups and followings, but what are some standout things where you're like, oh my gosh, if I could just say a couple things to future authors out there, this is what I wish they knew.
I wish that I knew how to do my arcs in a more professional way. So rather than just send the links to my Readsy, because Readsy is what I use to type on, and they would read that on their device, like their mobile device, I didn't realize that you could actually send them the eHub for them to read it on their Kindles. I didn't know you could email a Kindle. So I've been an ARC since then, where you have filled out Google Forms, you've had kind of a mini contract and explanation of what is needed from you. You're required to go onto Goodreads and leave a review, and it would be nice if they could leave one on Amazon too. I didn't do any of that because I didn't know that was something that you did. I just thought these people read your work and was like, yep, good, no, change that. Oh, saw that mistake. Good job. Like, I didn't realize the depth that you needed from this. And I didn't know what a street team was, which I thought was really interesting, which is like a group of cheerleaders that people have, a smaller group that go out there and post constantly on social media to get you out there. So I wish I knew about that also, because that kind of could have made me launch a little bit bigger. And I also wish that I knew that Amazon didn't pre-release soft covers because of the mistake I made too.
Well, those are really interesting because a lot of that is new in the industry. What I would say is that when I launched my first book in 2017 to now, this has really evolved a lot. Like, I remember like just the concept of beta readers. You're lucky to get like 3 people, and now that they have entire like funnels for ARC readers and funnels for all these things, and just the amount that this industry is growing. And so it's super interesting too that this is an indie author book fair, and I have worked with a lot of people who are both published authors and through traditional publishing houses who've actually switched to indie because they've said that traditional publishing houses aren't what they used to be. If you're going to market your book, you might as well just do it indie and get all the royalties.
It's really interesting, like the difference between them. I don't know if I could give away my control. I like the way I market. I like having fun. I feel like with traditional publishing, it's very standardized and it is just what it is. And you can't be quirky and unique and different. So I don't know if I could ever go down that route. We'll see.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the key. I've published for some academic books, like book chapters, and that's a whole different thing, right? But I love that you're really bringing and leaning into this next question, which is your method of writing, structured, intuitive, something in between. Are you an outliner? Are you just somebody who's a pantser? Like, what do you prefer when it comes to your personal writing methods, or do you kind of like make a hybrid and blend it?
So very intuitive when I write. I just see everything happening and just brain dump it. It's like word vomit. It just comes out and then I go back and then foreshadow and add little things later. But with book 2, which I'm currently writing now, I've done something which I have seen some authors do. I actually wrote today the very last chapter. So I've written about 60,000 words up to chapter 18. And then I wrote the last chapter because it was just in my head. And then I was like, now I have to kind of conjoin them in a way. So that's a little bit different to what I do or have done previously. But with the second book, I don't know if it's harder with the second book because you have to end everything and make it all the plots plot properly and not get plot holes. And you've got to make sure you include just everything and like wrap everything up nice and neatly. So I've had to like leave myself notes in chapters, like remember this, don't forget this, or don't forget that she did this and you need a reason why she's doing this. So like it's not very structured, but I feel like the more I write, I'm starting to bring in a little bit of structure into what I do. But I will always be more intuitive with my brain vomiting.
No, that's super interesting. I read a book recently where there was a story arc and the author left it. And I was like at the end of the book and I was like, but what happened? Like now I'm just out here. I have no conclusion. Like, and I was like obsessed with this part. And I was like, now I'm just hanging forever. Like I will never know. And it's funny because I think that's how fan fiction comes. Because like you leave something hanging on a fan, it's like, I must finish this for you, right? So hopefully exactly you get fanfic one day, and that's I think a great one. So let's talk a little bit about you. You kind of do some pantsing here, which I think is good. That's flying by the seat of your pants, by the way, is a term there.
Pantsing.
And so intuitive, right? Pantsing, right? So have you ever had a character or scene that really surprised you? And it sounds like this ending might be sort of something that surprised you, where you're like, this just came and this is where I found out I need to go.
Yeah. So with book one, I kind of knew everything that was happening because it is the duet. But I cried today writing that last chapter because I didn't want to write it because it's kind of like saying goodbye to characters in a way, and you become so obsessed with them and they're part of you. And it was quite an emotional, even though I've still got to go back and write the other chapters. But I feel like the ending of Dawn of the Druid, which is the second installment, is going to be the hardest thing I've ever written. There was in the book that I'm reading now a very confronting scene that I will have to put some triggers in, which was also very hard to write. And it made me a little bit uncomfortable, but it was necessary. And I suppose with Call of the She, I'm just thinking of what may have been hard. I think what was really hard with Call of the She is because she comes from a toxic relationship, was writing the scenes when she was intimate with the new love interest, but making it so it was a positive spin on like a sexual relationship. So creating that magic and that love again for someone that hadn't felt that. So tapping into the emotions. So I think that was really interesting and a little bit tricky.
Yeah, and I think that that's one thing that's really changed a lot in writing is it's not just the sex scene anymore. It's like you have to take your whole character and immerse them and make it work. Or your readers come back and is like, this is not what would happen. Like if this woman did this, she should be in therapy, right? And you're like, okay. I am going to take the link to Call of the She and put this into the comments. So any of the readers who want to go ahead and order this. And then, Summer, do you have any specials or any comments on how people can get a newsletter or contact you that you want to add?
I would say you just need to follow me at the moment. I am working on a website as we speak, and then I will have a mailing list. But because I'm so deep in writing book two, it's kind of been put on the back burner. But I'm kind of tackling it. But I'm an advocate for doing everything myself. So I will make my own website. I will make my own mail subscription, and I will link it all up and make it work. So just follow the socials, and that's where you'll find me.
Okay, great. Yeah. And so go ahead, like, follow. You got the TikTok, you got the Instagram, you have the information now on how to order the book. And the great thing is, book two is coming. So this is a perfect time to order book one, Call of the She. And then that way you're lined up for when book two comes out. Do you have a teaser for us on about when book two is going to come out?
I have a feeling it might be out in November. So writing it is going pretty well, but it's the editing that takes the time. So usually, it took me from January, it took me 3 months to write Call of the She. And I know that's quite fast for an author. I didn't realize it was. I had no idea, but it still took me another 3 months to edit it. So I think this could possibly be the same. And I'm probably got maybe 5 more chapters to do in this before the editing process begins. So maybe November, latest would be December.
Yep. And then it's beta readers, ARC readers, all the changes.
Yeah. That's
it's a journey.
So hopefully it all flows, but I'm hoping because it's the second book, I'll just have more knowledge on how to do everything. And even my editor, she's not like a formal editor. She's a friend who is studying editing. So editing my book, it was her first gig too. So now she knows what she's doing. She's like, all right, I've got this. So it's been really great. She's already kind of dived in and she says it's so much easier.
And there's different layers of editing too, if it's like the theme editing versus like inline editing. And it's so funny. I always thought editing was just like that very last part, like where they're doing your grammar, right? And you're like, okay, that's what I need an editor for. And then you're like, what do you mean there's like 4 different levels of editing? Like I didn't know I had to go to like school to understand how editing worked.
Yeah, she's really good at one thing that I suck with writing is my timeline. So like I'll be like, they were on the ground and then in the foyer. And she's like, well, did they take the stairs? How did they get there? And I'm like, oh yeah, I got to figure out that. And she's like, did they take 2 steps at a time, or did they dawdle up the stairs, or was it an elevator? And I'm just like, okay, like you've got to think about that in between kind of like journey. So she's really good at picking up that fluidity of the journey and making sure that it all aligns in a timeline. And I like that.
Yeah, I'm always like counting months and stuff. Like I'm like, so if so and so had this kid, how old would they have been when they had
Yes.
this kid, to make it like realistic?
That's it. Because people they will be like, no, that's not correct. She was meant to be there. It was meant to take 3 days to travel, but she got there in 7 days. Like that doesn't make sense. So they take tallies of the timeline.
Yeah, and then you've got to explain it away, or something, like you said, like how long did this take? How long was this journey?
And how did they get there? Yeah.
So what kind of conversations do you hope your work inspires from your readers? Like when you write and then you do have conversations with your readers, what has been the feedback so far? But also, what are you hoping they get a takeaway out of this?
The most common feedback that I've had so far has been how relatable my main female character is. So she's a 29-year-old Australian woman, and she leaves a toxic relationship to go to Ireland to self-discover and to try find family, and falls through a she-hole. But the fact that when she falls into this new realm, she still has the aspects of being a modern woman. She still misses coffee. She still misses deodorant. She still swears. She still wants to have her own personal space. Things annoy her. She gets irritated. She has flashbacks to things she misses in the human world. She shows them her phone. Like there's things that are realistic, which Brynn brings through. And I think that a lot of people have really enjoyed that it would be like them falling through into another realm. And that seems to be one of the most common, just like the feedback that I get.
I think that that's really important, is that character consistency or character growth, that you see where the character went from point A to point B. And you're
That's
like,
it. And that's another thing. Yeah.
And that's one of the things I think that beta readers can pick up well, and ARC readers, and give you that, wait, how did the character go from here to here? Like I get a 16-year-old kid and a 29-year-old woman are very different, but how did she grow and develop to get to that point? And how did you weave it in the story, right? Like that's, I think, a lot of what readers are looking for.
And with fantasy, a lot of the times, it's like a 19-year-old or 20-year-old girl that falls into the realm. She's put into these tricky situations, and then all of a sudden she can fight, she can have like a week training and be a pro with using a blade. That wouldn't happen in real life.
It's so funny. I just wrote through my book too, of my series, where I was like, okay, she's going to learn from the Israeli Krav Maga, and all this, and start doing personal defense training to explain later on how she can fight, right? Because you're like, how do you know this?
That's it. They've got to figure out, they've either got to have the talent before they went, or have some magic potion to allow them to realize what they're doing. But yeah, a lot of people have liked that Brynn went into this world and still couldn't do everything. So she was getting really frustrated too, that she couldn't a lot of the time wield a blade. And the only thing she could do is do a bow and arrow, and she referred to herself as Katniss. So, but other than that.
Well, I've mentioned in my book a few times, I do want to share for everybody in the audience that today on Kindle, my book is free for download, so you don't even need Kindle Unlimited or anything. So please check that out. And the other thing I want to highlight is that 24 authors in 12 hours is free. It's free. We're happy to be here. This is an author helping author event. But if you do want to help us out, I'm going to put the link in. We do appreciate donations. And we also have some merch now. We have coffee mugs. I actually ordered mine and it did not come in yet for the event, so I was really sad. But if you want to check out any of our coffee mugs or anything, I'll also include the little shop links in there. Water bottles, all those kinds of cool things. But one thing I want to do is ensure that that we never charge for this. I know authors get a lot of scams. A lot of times people are like, oh, I'll give you, if you give me $20, I'll do this and this. And one of the things from authors is always this kind of, why are you doing free interviews? And I'm like, it's expanding my network. It's connecting me with amazing authors. People send me free books in the mail. Like, what else could I want to do? Right. And so I definitely appreciate the support from everybody out there and wanted to make sure that you have this information. So please check it out, like our site, like our Facebook, like our YouTube. Summer, we have just a couple minutes left, and I wanted to say, is there anything that I have not talked about yet that you wanted to cover in this interview?
Trying to think. I'm not quite sure. Oh, I don't think there is anything, like, other than it's just been quite a journey, but I'm very excited to continue it, and hopefully it can turn into something that is maybe my next career. I do not know, or the next step in life. But I just love having the support in the community that's out there. So it's been really cool stepping into book world, especially coming from owning a beauty salon. Like, the people are just so amazing. Like, I literally just drove 2 hours for a dance comp and met with another author for coffee yesterday. And she was just there, and I was like, you want coffee? She's like, sure. So just the fact that everyone's so friendly and amazing and so open and uplifting, like, it's just been an honor to be embraced into such a community.
Well, Summer, it has just been a real honor to have you here. Just really, really excited for you, for your books. I'm going to make sure that I'm following you, that I'm getting the next book when it comes out. I'll be flagging that for November for my reading list. I love winter because you could just burrow up with your blankets and read all the things, right?
That's what it is right now. It's very cold here in Wagga Wagga.
Yes, that's right. Wagga Wagga. Well, signing off from Gary, Indiana to Wagga Wagga. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you so much.